This is my second attempt trying to make an update. I tried some days ago and I had to give up due to technical issues. All my hardware is compromised because I'm a targeted individual, which also includes people going into my house when I'm not at home and compromising my hardware. Among that, my camera, which is a Wi-Fi camera, just to explain how they can obstruct these updates. But I am a targeted individual, and there's a lot of different versions when it comes to what a targeted individual is. In my case, a targeted individual is somebody who's being persecuted, stalked, harassed, surveilled by other citizens, and with connections to part of the state, also known as deep state, or somebody might talk about the Secret Service, etc. And it is you can relate it to the War Tower. What is the War Tower? Before I was exposed to this form of shadow war targeting. The phenomenon is also called organized stalking. I thought the War Tower was to protect the population against terrorism, and the narrative was, and still is, I suppose, that the terrorists mainly came from the Middle East. And after that, when I was exposed to organized stalking myself, I realized that a lot of people from the Middle East here in Denmark, where I live, is actually participating in this sort of crimes. So that was confusing. And I also realized that apparently I was a problem to somebody. And that started my investigation. And through my investigation I learned that a terrorist is not from the Middle East. That's just a narrative. That's a way of selling this agenda without the population resisting. A terrorist is somebody, in English it's called anti-government extremist. A terrorist is somebody that doesn't that use their freedom of speech. If they see injustice, they speak out, and in all sense they are not in line with the government politics. And when I say the government, I don't necessarily mean the Danish government, I mean the global government. It's somebody calls it the One World Government, other calls it the New World Order, which, if you know anything about history, refers back to Hitler and his New World Order, and that is what is happening. It's Nazism. So organized stalking, people, when I talk about organized stalking, and in the beginning I didn't know it myself because many of the persecutors were from the Middle East, so it took quite a long time to realize that this is another way of introducing fascism, Nazism, all these things that we all know what is. But if you say organized stalking, people are just looking at you like, what? Are you being persecuted? Is it the mafia? Is it organized crime? Is it the government? Is it corporate society? Who is it? And why? No, it's to make it very clear, Nazism. And if you look at the war on terror, what is the war on terror? It's just another word or term for introducing Nazism. The war on terror is the state looking for enemies within the society. And enemies within the society, I already mentioned what that is. It is people out of line with their policy. And if the policy is as it is right now, many people will start to become out of line. They also call it the internal war on terror. So it's the government starting to look for people who are out of line with their policy. And excuse me if I don't speak perfectly English. It is much easier to talk in your native language, and I am Danish by birth. My father is from England, my mother is from Denmark. And then there's another phenomenon called depopulation. And for a long time I couldn't make the connection between the war on terror and depopulation. But if you take Nazism and put it on top of these two agendas, that's what it is. It is finding the enemy within the civilian population and getting rid of the ones who are not in line with the policy. And this development and escalation has been dramatic during the last year here in Denmark. It has been an explosive development, and I honestly lived from day to day, and it hasn't become better. I lived from one day to the next. I don't know how long I will be able to survive this. I have been going in and out of hospitals already since I was hit by organized stalking. Why? Because organized stalking, or this Nazi police, just like Stasi, just like under the Cold War, just like Gestapo, I've been stalked, and they use covert technologies. And what are these covert technologies? Well, one is the surveillance society. Another term is the wireless society, frequencies. And what do they use else? RF identification technologies, also known as neurotechnologies. Other talks about nanotechnologies. Now we're down to nanoscale. And then there's the other thing I also have, Morgellons. And today I know I've been having Morgellons since I was a child. I suppose I've been part of an experimentation since I was a child. But now, as the world looks today, things are different. And now we are in the phase of depopulation due to my own experiences and what I can actually see out in the world. And let me just mention Corona. What is Corona, if you ask me? It's a biowarfare. And it was launched, so to speak, directly after 5G. In the month after 5G was like aired, so to speak. And I'm not trying to scare people, but people are asleep. Not everybody, but a lot of people are asleep. I can hardly talk to anybody in Denmark about this topic. Because our understanding of reality is very much connected to our own life situation. So if you're not directly targeted, maybe you're being it covertly, you won't notice it. And I'm not saying it to put fear into people, not more than only in the degree that it's constructive. Because they are very much afraid of us. And they are even more afraid of the truth. And how can I say that? I just look at my own story. The more I know, the more I become a problem to them. And the only explanation for that is because they are afraid my story will get out to the general population. There's no other explanation. Can I please check my camera if it's still running? Because otherwise, when I was doing this update some days ago, I was just blah blah blah, talking. And every time when I went to check my camera, I realized it was not recording, so just a minute.